everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. In this video we're going to start unboxing Deep Madness, the Oracle's Betrayal. I have everything here and I'm really excited to show you guys each and every one of these boxes. They all add something new and different into the game. So without further ado, I'm not going to talk too much about the outside of the box because you're becoming much more familiar with them now as we've gone through. We're going to flip it over to the back side so I can read a little bit about what makes this expansion interesting and unique compared to the other ones. You wake into a nightmare world, birthed in pain and torment. You don't know who you are. You don't remember why you're here. All you know is that you need to escape. But the longer you struggle through this horrific place, the clearer it becomes that escape could very well be impossible. There are other things in this world with you. Tortured, brutal creatures interested only in their own survival, and strange, vicious collectors out to harvest your brain. Welcome to the Oracle's Betrayal, an expansion for the board game Deep Madness. This expansion features 3 new scenarios that will push investigators to their absolute limits with the introduction of the new trial mechanism. So it puts a new mechanism in the game. Investigators will find themselves forced to aid this new horrific world to the... Investigators will find themselves forced to aid this new horrific world to the hurt of themselves and their team. It is even possible that some investigators could be completely overtaken by the world's creator, Dr. William West, and become his unwilling, tortured puppets. That's crazy. To counter this terrible threat, the investigators will gain the new fusion mechanic. When activated, investigators will be able to join together to use special abilities and tactics that they could never achieve on their own. The Oracle's Betrayal features 2 new investigators, 3 new monster types, and 1 new epic monster, the mad scientist turned god, Dr. William West, adding a total of 26 new miniatures. Oracle's Betrayal, this is the front cover of the box. Again, guys, there's a lot of shimmer on these boxes, so I do apologize for that. It's just because of the lighting in the room, but it calms down as soon as we get into the unboxing itself. So, here we go. We got the Deep Madness, the Oracle's Betrayal expansion book. It's actually quite thick. So this runs about 19 pages deep. It's pretty solid, actually. So the very first thing, you've got Santee Shatters, the expansion overview. Give you guys a quick look at that if you'd like to pause it and read it. The components here, got 2 new investigators. We've got 12 victims, 8 collectors. Oh, the collectors look awesome. And there's William. And the 3 dissected. That's pretty cool. As well as a whole bunch of other components up here. Brain markers and all kinds of stuff. Probably for all the new mechanisms. Next up, you got the using this expansion. Additional rules, new room tiles. Very cool. Always love having new room tiles. There's a different example there of room 37. New investigator breakdown right here for Clarence and Hannah. The fusion cards, which are new mechanism, new devoured effect, important concepts to know, and credits. And then at this point you move into the storybook, which I'm not going to really zoom in on too much, but it's going to show you chapter by chapter, I believe the 3 chapters that are part of this whole situation. So you have this whole expansion chapter rules section about William's puppet setup, which I don't understand fully, but I'm assuming he takes control of people at times using his brain, I guess, would make sense, or some kind of control mechanism that way. And you've got puppet cards for him, the trial, the chapters, and it starts with trimming victims. This one right here, you can see there's a ton of text for this, story text. Goes into the chapter overview as well as the setup for this particular game. That looks amazing. Those must be the harvesters. I actually forget what they're called in this one. Is it the... They are called collectors. Collectors. Close enough. That's pretty much the same thing. The devouring track, special setup. The collecting tissue is chapter number 2. That sounds pleasant. And then another game board setup for that one. That's pretty crazy. Quite large. And then chapter 3, lobotomy. Of course, that would be the last one. Ugh. Nasty. Okay, so there is the full rule book. You got yourself what we come to expect with these is a token board, although of course all these tokens now are new, and I mean there might be some repeatable tokens in here, but there's a lot of new mechanisms within this expansion apparently, so these tokens are for that. Not sure what those are, but they look important, so that's pretty cool. We go into the actual tray here. We've got ourselves a couple new tiles. Alright, so the new tiles here, we've got 36 and 37. So I'm going to show you guys a nice close-up of these tiles so you can see what they look like on this side. So this is tile number 36. Of course, when it's totally destroyed, it looks like this on the inside. Pretty beat up. It looks like there's a person there that's seen better days, ripped apart. That's pretty crazy. Heard of that's pretty wild. Another room here. Looks like this is a room with a brain in it, so maybe part of the whole Dr. Williams situation. So two of those, 36 and 37. Then we've got some smaller ones we want to go through. Starting off at 38, we've got this one right here. Back of it looking like this when things go downhill. Pretty cool. Again, remember that all the tiles in this game are numbered, plus they have unique art on them, which is really cool. So you're never going to see the same tile twice from what I'm understanding here. They're all unique. Now, there might have corridors that look similar to this with other doors open, but they're all going to have unique artwork and stuff like that on both sides, which is awesome. So it just gives a nice feel to the game. Everything's very different. Well, first off, we got a whole bunch of miniatures to go through, so that's exciting. The first thing I could do, though, before we do that is maybe do the cards, because they're right up here front and center. So let's take a look at this pack right here. All right, so here we go with these cards here. We got Clarence Branham, manipulating rage and suing psychopathy. He's a psychiatrist. We have Hannah. Oh, that's a little girl. So I think this is the first time we've had any little children in this one. She's probably not going to want to hang around here very long. We've got Victim here is one of the new creatures. The Collector, one of the coolest, honestly, one of the coolest looking new monsters, I guess, inside of Deep Madness. That's extremely cool. And the Dissected. So these are three new ones. And of course, the big boss, William. So I'll give you a nice close-up of him. Pretty crazy. Another card with William. So maybe there's two different things. The Puppet. Whole card based on that. No idea what that means. Part of the scenario, so I don't want to spoil too much of that. Let's move on to this pile of cards, a decent stack. All right, so we got ourselves a Mind Cutter. Kind of makes sense for the whole brain theme going on here. We got the Mind Collector itself, the Mind Cage, the Mind Dissector, Brain Tissue itself. Some cards here, Victimize, Collecting Souls. Again, I'm not too familiar with what these are just yet. I think they are event cards. These ones, oh, interesting. So tests that we have to do, and there's a whole bunch. So maybe this is a deck that we're pulling from while he is attacking our minds. Could be kind of the theme there. That's pretty cool if that's the case. And then, of course, we got some Chapter 1 Training the Victim. So some of these cards are very scenario-specific, add to the story and stuff like that. This is what they look like on the back. If they're that type of card, they have the eye symbol. Otherwise, for these ones that had the text on it. And then, of course, these ones, which are just pure nastiness for all of the other ones. And then this kind of background for the other ones. So, not too familiar with all the different names of the different types of cards just yet, but I plan to become very familiar with them quite soon. So I'm just putting these cards back in the spots that I found them in, so that later on when I go to organize all this stuff, everything's back where it should be. So the next deck we're going to get into is the smaller mini cards. Alright, so there's a whole bunch inside this one. Tons of them, actually. So Clarence's got a card, Hannah's got a card, and then we come down to the actual victim cards. Again, watch the numbers on the bottom change. Could mean a number of different things. I wish I could explain to you guys, but it's the first time that I'm opening this up and playing this game in the near future. So if anyone knows that kind of stuff, you can feel free to drop it in the comments below. You get a card typically in this game for every single tile that you have, which is, I believe, there's a mechanic that has that tile essentially being taken over, corrupted, or flipped. This is interesting. So Twitching Strings, is this a new deck? That looks very, I don't know if that's a deck from one of the core games or not, but that looks very interesting. So this is called Twitching Strings. After you perform a move, you must gain a puppet card. So this must be maybe scenario specific. I don't want to spoil too much of that. But that's very interesting. On this side, we've got a bunch of dark cards. So maybe, maybe there's a chance that nothing happens when he does his thing. That would kind of make sense, I guess. I think. I'm not too sure. It's very interesting, though. Then we go to these ones. They have a red back. Oh, nope, that's just part of the other deck. Interesting. Not too sure what that's all about. Frailty, your maximum health is reduced to 3, and your maximum sanity is reduced to 2. What are these? Interesting. Those look completely new for this particular one. So there's a whole bunch of those. And the Mingled Minds. Oh, there's a whole bunch of really interesting things in this one. That's a really interesting expansion. There's a lot of different backs of these mini cards that I've never seen before. So, you know, they're obviously tied into the scenario, but not too familiar with it myself just yet to be able to explain it. So that actually does the cards, showing you everything there card-wise. Now we'll talk about some of the miniatures. So first off, Investigators. Probably the most important piece, and actually I just realized I have to get these things out of here in order to get to the miniatures because they're underneath a tray cover. Oh, no I don't. That's embarrassing. It's a completely separate tray. Look at that. Is there any tape on this one is the question. There is. 2 pieces of tape, so I'll just remove that tape quickly here. There we go. That's dealt with. Perfect. Okay, so here's our tray of miniatures going back in the box, just like this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to throw these cards back in their spots because they don't need to leave. And we'll start talking about these investigators here. So, the 2 new investigators that come inside this game is this one right here, a child actually, a little girl. She's got herself what looks to be a teddy bear. It's kind of a cool sculpt. Hannah, I believe her name is. And then this one, he looks kind of like a crazed individual with a scalpel, a sword of some type, a bow, I'm not sure what that is, and a gun as well. The coolest figure in the whole box by far is probably Mr. William here. So that's a pretty awesome sculpt. He's in his chair. He's got everything. He's all hooked up to a brain himself, so he's messing around with your head. Here's some more of the new enemies. Again, I cannot remember the names of them, even though they just happened. This guy doesn't even look like he has a head. It's kind of terrifying. This one right here, coming at you like with pincers almost, or like a blade. And one arm that's just like pure muscle, and the other one's got the sword on it. This is really cool. Look at the sculpts for these guys. The harvesters, or the collectors, I guess is what they're called, are very, very interesting looking. Probably the coolest miniatures in the set. There's 4 of each of them. I like those guys. Those are pretty cool. And then we've got some more of these guys up top, which I think look like a different sculpt from the ones at the bottom. So there's 6 of these guys up top and then 6 of them down below, so 2 different sculpts maybe. So that's pretty crazy. That's actually a really cool expansion. That one has new mechanisms in the game. Of course, it gives you some new investigators, but it gives you also 3 new scenarios to play through and some tiles. So that's awesome. So hopefully, guys, this helped you understand what you'll get inside the Oracle's Betrayal expansion. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.